Okay, welcome back, everyone. We have now finished the DNA and Beyond, and we moved to the Great Pyramid. And it's a good thing because the washer is now done. I think the street sweepers are close to being done, so maybe you won't hear all their noise, but the cats are very entertained by it. Uh, so without further ado, we're going to take a look at how F sharp is related to the Great Pyramid. All right, sharing screen. Here we go. And moving myself up. All right. We're just going to go right to it. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Pulled the curtains back on it. You know, you love the curtains. I used to direct, was the music director of community theater. So I like the curtains. Okay. There's a picture of the Great Pyramid. Many scholars now suggest that the pyramids and Sphinx were built at least 11,000 years ago, if not even longer. And there's a new science out that's called archaeoastronomy, where they can figure out the age of some of these megaliths because of how they're facing. I mean, we know that the Sphinx, at one point, his eyes were facing Leo the lion. Okay, when was Leo the lion perfectly lined up with the Sphinx's eyes? It would have been about 11, 12,000 years ago. So it's interesting when we're dating the pyramids and looking at all that stuff. So that was just one geeky moment there. There's also new evidence of tunnels, cavities, and additional structures beneath the period complex. And we're in March of 2025, and something just came out this week about a new type of imaging. Time will tell whether that's really accurate or not. But at the same point, scientists know that there's stuff underneath it. But I think it's really interesting that Egyptologists won't let anybody go there. Not sure why that is, but we'll leave that for speculation for some other time. Our focus, however, is on the inside of the Great Pyramid, not any of the others, just the Great Pyramid itself, which is the biggest one. Many suppose that the Great Pyramid was built to produce power. They call it the power plant or the power station. I mean, it's possible, and it looks like it's kind of probable. The grand gallery leading up to the king's chamber appeared to have resonators along the walls at some point. And I could not find that video again, so I could take a screenshot of where you could actually see that, because I think it's on the side walls as well as on the head wall. And there, I think I did find a picture of where it looked like there had been something like that in the wall right before you go into the king's chamber. But here's a picture of the whole thing. This is the space that's the hidden chamber that they haven't been able to get into, but they've done some sort of imaging to determine that there is a space there. And you can see it's pretty big. Here is the grand gallery in the Queen's chamber. And even in this picture, it looks like there's some striations. To me, that looks like, I mean, that's about where the resonators were, according to some of the scientists who've been in there. There is the king's chamber, and they've got all these slats that are up above here, and the sarcophagus is sitting about right there. All right, going on. I have to move me somewhere else because I can't read what I wrote. Don't get dizzy. I'm moving me over here. The grand gallery leading up to the king's chamber at one time had resonators, which I've said, that is evident in the walls. The resonant frequency, or the standing waves that are going on in the grand gallery are 440 hertz, the A above middle C. And notice it's 440 hertz. And then the next thing is the sound from so you're going from the grand gallery, which is an A, then you go into the king's chamber, and we get something else. And that's why I say the sound from the grand gallery suggests an F sharp minor triad that then morphs into the F sharp major triad. Okay, notice from the very beginning, we have the minor third coming out of the sound of creation. So here we've got that F sharp and the A. Then we're going to see the F sharp and the A sharp, which is the major third, once we get to the king's chamber. Here's the picture of the king's chamber showing these slats that are above it. And they actually found, when they were doing resonance studies in here, that the sounds up above this play an F sharp major triad. Interesting. So inside the king's chamber and up above it are large granite slabs that are smooth on the bottom and they're rough on the top. Scientists couldn't figure out the reason for this until they recorded the ambient sounds within the chamber itself. With the room quiet, recording equipment picked up the natural sound of the king's chamber. Researchers realized the sound was coming from the slabs above the chamber. The slabs above the chamber acted as another set of resonators. So you've got, remember, the grand gallery is resonating that A. Then you morph into the king's chamber, and all of a sudden that A becomes an A sharp within this F sharp triad. The sound within the king's chamber creates an F sharp major triad, which is F sharp, A sharp, and C sharp. And now this cat wants to sit on me. You coming up, Merlin? You want to say hi to the world? So that being said, all of the information on this particular post or discussion about the Great Pyramid are going to be in the blog post that's below. Follow me, or you can follow me or Healing. I think it's Del Hungerford on Instagram and Healing Frequencies Music on Facebook. Subscribe to the newsletter where you can get geeked out on music stuff. And the next one is going to be geometric shapes and frequencies. And this is Merlin. It was decided that it's time to introduce himself to you. Merlin, you want to say hi to everybody before we go to the next one? Because we'll see how long he lasts on my lap. Anyway, so I'm excited. We're going to take a tiny bit of a break while I move on to the next one. All righty then. Got to get rid of this. Something keeps coming up. Move out of the way. There it goes. It's not letting me stop. Okay, we'll see you in the next video.